Peace, 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 everyone. Panatapa Akwas the Jed Uncle Josh and Neb, Uben Metvike, Panabu Haru, Ma'ati to everyone. Thank you for coming to My Sister's Keeper with your host, Ramatef Queb, Joy Allen, and Sister Nuke. Ah. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you are new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe to Karmic Dynasty. This particular platform is on courtship and dating. Today's topic is on commitment or attracting commitment when it comes to courting and dating. Um, I think everyone don't mind the paint. You know, it's just a rite of passage type of day for me. So I would like to introduce my guest, but first and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself, Anouk Ramatef Queb. I'm Ramatef Queb. You can find me on Facebook as Ramatef Queb. You can find me on Instagram as Ramatef_Queb. I'm a practitioner of divinations. Make sure you check me out. And first and foremost, I'd like to introduce um, the host of the broadcast, Joy Allen. Go ahead and speak to the people.
Peace, everyone. I am Joy Allen, and my platform is Karmic Dynasty. Today, we are here on I Am My Sister's Keeper, and it is an honor and a pleasure to be here in the midst of those on the panel and everyone in the comment section. And I'm going to ask Sis Nuk Abhas Asmaruk to speak, and in the most favorite words current in my life, DPS, DPS.
Peace and love, family. Greetings. I am Nuk Ab Ha Samadu with Life Force Energy Metaphysical, and it is a pleasure. And I give honors to all of the panelists and also to the Sister Joy Ramutef and also Sister Salima for setting up this platform. Thank you, guys.
All right. I appreciate everyone today. From our last broadcast, we were um very in deep with the two um matriarchs when they were speaking on a lot of the issues with Nuke and Sister Bella. A lot of it was very, very, very good information, especially from knowing the studying and just the self experience. For everyone who's here on the platform, definitely this is something that's more on a true, realistic um, understanding when it comes to what is the difference. Not even necessarily the difference, but what is the difference between courting and dating. Um, a lot of the things that our people share have been, tainted in a lot of ways when it comes to like this just dealing with marriage, dealing with the gathering of the families, things of that nature. A lot of the stuff that we need to what's it say, revise when it comes to certain aspects of a personal relationship, a work relationship, and a long-term commitment. Before we get started, will Nuke, will you speak to the people on the topic that you was bringing to when he was in the back in the green room?
Yes. So just to share a bit about where I'm sharing this information from, this is a book called Sacred Sexuality. It's ancient Egyptian tantric yoga. It should be Kemetic tantra yoga. And also, this is by Dr. Muwada Ashby. And so, on page 150 of this book, just going into a little bit of the behaviors, which we're going to speak on later, when it comes to relationships. It reads here that most people believe that sex relations bring people closer and opens the way to understanding and love. So they indulge in pleasures of sex, hoping to develop closeness with others as they seek to fall in love. Through increasing spiritual understanding and sacrifice of the personal desires in order to serve others and understanding that true love is universal arises. In reality, the lower forms of relationships, such as physical contact, sexuality, and sentimental attachments, become obstructions to the experience of higher feelings. As people get older, the inability to perform acts which society deems as good causes feelings of worthlessness and anguish in their minds. And so, with that being said, during tantric training, each individual is instructed to regard the other as a divinity, which all humans are innately, and to worship each other as such, and to alternate roles. Each partner sees themselves as male or female because we have both of those divine principles within us. And as they realize the life force growing during physical, that's when we actually start to increase our treatment towards each other and our relationship towards each other is just by studying the divinity of one another. So I wanted to make that a point today in today's healing. And it also goes into the way to do that is by cultivating the mind, right? Cultivating the way that you process and receive information and being open to receive love that is not a physical love, a tangible love. Peace.
Mm. Yeah, that's something else. Yeah, I didn't even think about that because it's like a lot of it. Like I've been for my personal self, I have been promoting the understanding of, especially my generation, when it comes to understanding that we, in a sense, were brought up thinking that sex is love, and when you start to truly break it down, what the matriarch was saying, that's something that we really got to work on, especially my generation. We truly got to work on that because that's what's breeding other type of generations when it comes to understanding that aspect of the actually spreading or enjoying the fact of what is called intimacy versus what they think intimacy is. Intimacy is not in the form of just being always engaged body to body type of sexuality in a sense. No, 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 no. Intimacy is more on a basis of understanding your partner's needs from my point of view. Their needs versus their wants. What is it that they need at that present time? Do they need a neck rub? Do they need their hair played with? Do they just need something to drink? Things of that nature. Just their favorite drink, I should say, or food, cooking, spending time, conversing on um, businesses when it comes to, like, a person's personal business versus their joint ventures when it comes to dealing with families, not even just families but within that household or that union. The union, I believe, needs to be on a stronger basis, and definitely when it comes to dealing with the tantric part, people don't under a lot of people are really not aware, like tantric is not just in the form of just having these certain positions when it comes to your late night or daily activities. No, it's about, from my point of view, what I've experienced, um, learning how to connect with a person's body without the need or desire for the what they would call uh, reproducing. Like take the reproducing out of your movements and put in what is the joint union of your energy. That's just how I seen it, because I've done a couple of different type of poses when it comes to allowing my mate to like, say for instance, me stretching out my back. I'll be on all fours stretching my back, and I'll tell my mate, put your back on my back, and I'll allow me to lift you. And as I'm lifting you, don't be so much of a dead weight, but just flow with me when it comes to the way that I do my movements. And then we were very successful at it, and as well as a lot of the connection that we had, energy was very silent, but yet it was very growing. It grew. Our connection, in a sense, grew very, very so natural when it came to allowing our bodies to align while she's floating and I'm supporting to represent that type of movement is a lot of how you say trusting or giving trust, like how a person would do the whole trust technique or the I forgot what they call, but it's where they fold their arms, they'll be up on a high plane and they'll fall back, or they'll be on to each other's feet and they'll fall back to see if their partner is going to catch them. That's a form of what I would think a form of tantric is as well, to have that trust and the ability to know that if I got your back, as well as not just in the bedroom, but just in all aspects of life. Your
Yeah.
thoughts, Joy?
Tantric is related to or involving the doctrines of the principles of yoga. And
Mm,
when we go back to ancient Kemetic science, yoga means to yoke. And it is to yoke from this physical connection through the soul, wherein lies the spirit that created it, to the spirit. So it's when we begin to yoke ourselves from our human experience to our spiritual selves. And so, in you're exactly right when it comes to that tantric yoga practice. This it's not about experiencing um, sexual pleasure, but sexual pleasure is a part of the connection of moving higher in your universal thoughts of who you are as divinity. And so it speaks about regarding each other as a divinity and being able to relate to each other on a higher level so that you can, like you said, flow in harmony. To me, when I hear you saying that, that's a form of serving each other. Getting to a point where you're carrying your own weight and not weighing someone else down, but flowing in harmony with them, and also being cognizant to assure that you're not becoming a dead weight, because that's some of what happens in relationships. And so speaking of that, it goes further into like breathing exercises, physical and mental purification as necessary before pursuing tantric yoga. And so tantric yoga, it to us can be about the positions that they introduce, or it could be about us yoking together as one. That's why we always hear the phrase equally yoked. It can be about us just being equally yoked and knowing that we are divinity, and getting to a point where what we used to know as relationships no longer work for us, because that's when they see the woman based on her body parts or based on her acts of performance, and him as his acts of performance. Now we're looking at each other in a different light, saying we're no longer ruled by sex. So now that we're no longer ruled by sex, let's figure out how to use this ritual the right way to bring about the highest circumstances within our life. How do we manifest greatness now that we know that we're bringing both of the polarities together? The universal feminine, which is feminine, and bringing together the masculine, bringing that alignment together between those two polarities. Now, what do we manifest on a higher level?
mm,
That's where I'm at with that.
mm. Yeah, I had to think on that one real quick. That was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know how to upgrade that. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I appreciate
Going
that.
higher. Sister Joy is studying. She got wings on her mind.
Mm-hmm.
She wearing a light gold crown of light. She's no longer just skin and flesh. She's light fiber tissue now. She's electrified. We need some fire in there, and that fire is what is causing the mind to be illuminated, so we can bring forth our greatness. We're building wealth now, no longer in those lower forms of thought.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's deep. So yeah, to those in the listening audience, I also came with three questions that I want to ask everyone, not just on the panel, but those who watches as well. From the last episode, we were talking about the candidates, so I went ahead and looked back into them real quick to see, even though some of them were not work, but at the same time, there's always a way to help a person understand self. So I chose three words to build questions over. The first one I'm going to deal with is commitment. I don't know if you can see it, but commitment. The question I want to ask the panel as well as the audience, when it comes to dating, what are your commitment? What do you commit to when it comes to dating? What do you commit to when it comes to courting? What are your issues when it comes to commitment? And how do you feel you, or what do you need to do to adjust your commitment issues?
Okay, let's go back to that first question, please.
Okay. So what is it that you bring when it comes to commitment in dating? What are you committed to in dating?
My commitment and what I bring to dating, I'm going to go back to Sister Bell's address last week when she spoke about data, meaning a part where we collect data. Data is information, and in technology is pockets of information. So the first thing when it comes to dating is to be my authentic self. That's my commitment, to be my true self. Also to open myself up to learn that person's true self, to be open. Sometimes I'll say it this way: I hear people say certain things and I think to myself, ooh, that's getting into the deep of it. But just being open and allow them to express themselves and to see where they're going with it. And so my commitment to dating is just being my authentic true self, because no more putting up guards and well, we can't always know if we have guards up, but no more putting up a show. This is my authentic true self. This is who I am, and I am open to learning and getting to know your authentic true self. That's the first part of being able to exchange information and being able to communicate on any level, is just having that truth present and prevalent.
Joy, you want to speak on that or no?
What was the question from the card again?
What are you committed to when it comes to dating? What are your commitments to dating?
How many I get to talk about?
What you mean?
Well, how many? Like, I'm committed to myself.
Hmm.
And it was so short when I thought. So there's something else you want me to talk about?
Oh yeah, just like what is it that you see
How many you want
commitment
me
in?
to name?
As many as you want.
Okay.
Go
It's a
ahead,
open. It's
sister.
open, open, open. It's all about being open.
I'm committed to myself. I'm committed to my reflection in the man that I will be with, and I'm committed to his view of me. I'm committed to keeping it enhanced. I'm committed to his awareness of me, and I'm committed to me and him, the us.
That's good. That's bad. All right. So now, what is everyone's view when it comes to commitment towards courting?
Mm. Commitment
Okay, so
towards
courting.
courting.
Yes, because I'm going to pull this up again right quick, family. After the show last week, that word court just kept sitting with me. Okay, and so it showed a tribunal presided over by a judge, judges, or a magistrate in civil or criminal cases. So that doesn't necessarily apply to what we're doing right now. Or it's also as a verb, being involved with be involved with romantically, typically with the intention of marrying. So that crosses out the dating automatically. Now we're courting now, and as we're courting now, we're in the, it reminded me of this next one when it came to sports. We're in the game now, we're on the court, we're in not the game, but we're in the movement of, we've kind of X'd out everything that no longer served or fit with us through the dating process. So now we're courting. So my commitment, in my view, when it comes to courting, is also always truth, but also um, being free, being free, having that freedom to express myself. One of the things that I heard or read this week is one of the biggest downfalls in relationships is believing that your mate should know everything about you and that your mate should know what you're thinking and how you're thinking it. So my commitment and my view when it comes to courting is to not have somebody trying to um, guess who I am, what I am, and what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking it, but to express myself freely, to be free in my movement, to be free with who I am, so that we're able to have the best example of what we're trying to obtain while courting, and that's marriage. That's what we're building towards. So, another thing is I wanted to I've thought about the song with Shantae Moore when she says, "So look at me, but not with your eyes. Touch me with more than your hands." To be able to go higher than the physical surface of getting to know that person, but allowing ourselves to be open in a way where we're free to express the unseen part of us, our moon energy, the internal, and allowing that to flow out so that it can be right out and open from the start. No, nothing jumping out of the closet. So that's my commitment to courting.
Joy, you got anything on that?
Commitment to courting. Um, from recent experience and a piggyback off of what Sister Nuke Ob has to say, um, I'm committed to actually, as Ramutelf also mentioned, the needs and wants. I'm committed to, when I'm in a relationship, to continue to share what my needs and wants are and not put him in the position where he's expected to know what I need and what I want.
Noted. Noted.
Duly noted.
Right.
I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna take a page out of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, actually, I found that, elaborating on that, I found that not too many receive that well, that I do share what I need and what I want.
Yeah, because
They
there
don't.
is a
They
lot
kind
of
of look at it as like a list of demands. And I'm like, no,
mm-mm.
instead of, I don't want you to guess. I don't want you to have to guess. I don't want you to be in the unknown. So I'm telling you, sharing with you what my needs and wants are. So that there is no guessing. And
Right.
so my follow-up question, and it's always rhetorical, but they can share if they like with me, is okay, so the relationships prior to me, or even if we're not in a relationship, but your previous relationships, it's a reason that the first her is not here right now. It's a reason the second her is not here right now. It's a whole reasons why I'm
Right.
here right now. The other part of that is this: rhetorical. Why is she not here with? Why is she not here right now? Why am I here? Why are you not with one of them from your past? Because she left, the relationship split, and when y'all split up, there was questions. And the questions were because probably she did not share what her wants and or her needs are, and left it open to question, which leaves room for misinterpretation, which leads to miscommunication.
That's right here, sis.
It's in the book.
It shows that learned responses.
What book are you reading?
The same one. It says
I've not read that book.
It reads that learned responses are what constitute the basis for likes and dislikes within your personality, and they lead you to certain associations, circumstances, and experiences. And so those associations, circumstances, and experiences mean that through experience, they're no longer here no more because of the likes and dislikes that we begin to form in our past relationships. So one of the things that we have to learn in dating and courting is to leave that old stuff in the past. No need in trying to have this person measure up with this person when that didn't even work in the first place. Let's see what we can build from here going forward. And a lot of people, when it comes to relationships, they like to be attached, like to possess. It's not about being attached or being possessive over your mate. You can't possess a divine being. What you can do, though, is you can learn to flow in harmony with one another. We can build together and build at a pace where we respect one another and we're open to one another. But yeah, you're right. There's a reason why they're no longer here. On up to whatever number. There's a reason why I'm here now. And so let's get to know us.
That's right. And then my follow-up and my conclusion is if there's one day I'm not in your life, I promise you won't have any questions when I'm gone. And they never do. They never have any. They know exactly why I left. And it ain't even no question. Why she gone? Why she just up and leave? What's the problem? It ain't never none of that. Not with me.
That's a good thing because I have not always been great at that. So thank you for sharing that, because I'm just in these last couple years learning how to express myself when things don't work versus just disappearing, because I would disappear.
Oh, I have some escapism in my chart as well.
Yeah.
FR.
Just like fire, flame out.
I be DPSing all day.
Yeah,
Damage per second.
Yeah, I haven't used my block button in a while though, because I've been learning to communicate. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on my block button. I swear.
Block
I think I got more block contacts than stored contacts. That's for real.
I had to think about that one. Okay, we had a third question, right, Ramutel?
My bad, I was mute. So let's look into the difference between civil rights and rites of passage.
Okay, you want me to go?
Yeah, I know you had something prepared to share.
Okay, so when I read about when I read the outline for today's show, and I read the difference between civil rights and rite of passage. Civil means to be courteous and polite, and by definition, rights means that which is morally correct, just, or honorable. So we're going to connect that together in civil rights, being that we are courteous and polite in the way that we morally honor each other. And I believe that one right there is really top. But when we put it together as civil rights, it comes together as rights of citizens, um, um, to social freedom and equality. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the one that we said, being that we're divine beings, citizens of what? We're not grouping ourselves into boxes like that. All right, now the next thing that we went into is rite of passage. The difference between civil rights, which we just covered, and rite of passage is a ceremony or event marking an important stage in someone's life, especially birth, puberty, marriage, and death. And in this way, we are now talking about marriage. This is related to marriage. So the difference between those two is that one is the way that you treat each other, and the other is the way that you the way you treat each other and the way you honor each other is civil rights. But when we get to rite of passage, that is the ceremony of marriage. That is the commitment of relation. That is it. That is the event marking this dynamic occurrence in one's life. So the difference is in those two is actually what I just noted based by definition.
Gratitude. I like that. That was excellent. For real. Did you discuss the RITE?
Yeah, no, I didn't discuss that yet. So
Okay.
I noticed that I always often hear, and me and myself have said it, rites of passage. It's not rights, RIGHTS, of passage. It's actually right, RITE. And because you just mentioned that, let me at 6:55, we hit numbers like tonight, like whew, this is divine order right here. Okay, so when we do RITE in definition, it means a religious or other solemn ceremony or act. So that's a rite of passage. So that's one thing that at the family we can take note of right now, because I know I've always heard rites. It's not rights, it's rite of passage.
I appreciate that feedback and
Thank you.
preparation
Thank
for
you.
today's topics. Um, Next we have, excuse me, y'all. Next we have behaviors and habits that make you courting material or dating material.
Woo!
That's a heavy one right there. It looked heavy to me. Let me see. Behaviors and habits that make you courting material. Okay, so let me copy and paste this so people know, see what we're doing. For me, primarily number one, starting out, I'm going to say, I am saying, sharing that it would be openness, self openness, as in primarily being open, flexible to change. Because in a relationship, whether it's new, middle ground, or older, kind of what you call it, seasoned, there's changes. Speaking of seasons, seasons are changes. So there's changes. So what makes you courting material or dating material would be open. Well, let's go to dating material. Dating material would be, because we discussed that dating is collecting data.
Right.
And so to collect the data without being judgmental,
Right.
collect it all up, then put on the judgment, and then move on, through the courting part. And I would also say that what makes behaviors and habits that makes you courting material, the flexibility, the openness, and accountability, self accountability. Be accountable to the things that you were open about for yourself, and be accountable as in the means of making adjustments for yourself as necessary. Self-preservation is the first law of nature.
Yes.
After that, when all things are well with yourself for sure in a particular area, then you can advance and transition into the awareness and the needs of the partner, the candidate in the courtship. I think I was going somewhere else, somewhere middle sentence. I switched up gears. But yeah, basically, a self accountability. Be aware, be accountable for yourself first, because you cannot hold the candidate, your partner, to be accountable for their actions, and you are not accountable for your own.
Right.
I'm going to leave that right now on the table.
Okay. I'm going to go into this next sentence in this book that I see, and it says, the folly of physical attraction is that it is based on ignorance, illusion, and engendered by passion. When two people first notice an initial attractiveness, it is in reality a reflection of a deeper sensitivity. So, in that, when it comes to behaviors and habits, one of the habits that I see that most people display are habits of judgment. People get into judging people from an outward physical appearance. Those are, from what we're learning now, bad habits, because of the fact that they cancel out you being able to get to know a person on a higher level. As Joy said, in order to be go into self-oneness, to be accountable, self-preservation and awareness, you have to be open beyond just the physical presence, right? Now, I'm not talking about a physical presence when it comes to people just not taking care of themselves. Okay, now we're going to accurately assess the situation and be like, this is not a reflection of me if I'm taking care of myself and you're not taking care of yourself. But sometimes people get so picky down to what fingernails look like, what hair looks like, skin, different things like that. And I say that those are some of the habits that we have to get out of in order to open ourselves up to a higher love in dating and in courting. Behaviors are coming together on a level where we, one, treat each other fairly, we're just, we honor each other, and we morally support each other, where we are no longer carrying out behaviors that are just selfish. You know that this is not something that you desire to be done to you, or you don't desire to be treated in this way, but you're going to continue on these behaviors and or habits, knowing that it's not in your and relying on a crutch because you believe that that crutch, like you hear people say, God ain't finished with me yet. No, that is not a reason to continue to misbehave and treat others with disregard without honoring them. So when we go back to civil rights, you have to be morally just and honorable in how courteous you are and how polite you are to your loved ones.
Yes, and to extend from there, the God is not through with me yet. I cannot stand to hear a man say, I'm just a
Oh,
man, I'm only human. No, give it up.
I can't stand that.
Give
No,
it up.
that's an excuse.
Yes, it is. And
Yes.
around me, it's been the no excuse zone for some time now.
Exactly, because we know what we're working on. Just say what you're working on, but don't use the excuse that, because are you finished with you yet? Because if that's accountability. Saying that God is not through with me yet is you just refusing to take the accountability for your own actions, using the devil as a reason to continue to carry out low light acts is just you using another tool of incompetence to be able to carry out some of the actions that you carry out. So no, no, no. That self-preservation is a part of that accountability. So yeah, that was Ashe, sis.
Gratitude, gratitude. And let's see, Sister Bell is coming in. Don't see
Yeah.
her video. Peace, Sister Bell. There she go. I was gonna say, unmute your mic, see if we can hear you. Yeah, she has muted her mic herself. She just unmuted. Peace to you, sister. Look at y'all them matching hair wraps. Oh, geez. I missed the
Greetings,
memo.
everyone.
And the glasses, y'all is, and the shirt top. I missed all three memos. And them smiles, y'all is dangling ears. Oh, y'all is
We
honors,
are,
honors,
you
honors.
are too. We are. Yes.
Welcome, Sister Bell, to I Am My Sister's Keeper, Courtship, Attracting Commitment, Episode 2. Introduce yourself. And
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Sister Bell, as you know. Joy, I sent you a message, but I don't think you had time to read because I wasn't sure of the link that I needed to use to join the broadcast, but I just, figured out I should use the first one that we used last week.
Yeah, yep, I got you. You here now. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, everyone got the link. So there may be, with that being said, there may be others joining us. As Sister Bell has, the panel group is 7 of us. So at any time there could be at least 7 of us up here on the panel, and they can come in and out at any time. At any time. Sister Bell, would you like to continue with us, or would you like to cover some of the topics and address those that we've already touched on this evening?
I think I'll just continue from this point.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. That's grand. That's grand. Let's see. So we were talking about behaviors and habits that make you courting material or dating material. Would you like to share,
Okay.
Sister Bell, your thoughts on that? I'm gonna put it up on the screen for you also.
Okay. Um, Give me a second, okay? Sorry.
Okay, and while you take your time, let me know when you're ready, and if you're ready, and if
Yeah, I need
you
to go
can
back
come
to
back.
my notes. So just give me a couple minutes. Maybe y'all could start talking about something and then I'll chime in at.
Yep, I got you. All
Okay.
right. So speaking of Ramutef, Hevelin, welcome. Hevelin, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Looking forward to seeing you on the panel one day. Gratitude, Hevelin from Facebook. Yeah, M Town Vet. It's like, what happened to Ramutef? The matriarch takeover. Ramutef is planning to be here. He had to do something right quick. He said he'll be right back. Speaking of Ramutef, which is what I was going to do to move on, and or as Sister Bell takes her time to catch up, or determine if she wants to determine what path she wants to take from here. Ramutef was in the process of reading questions from cards. So when he comes, he will continue that. We also were going to talk with Ramutef about the importance of Halloween and paint on our face, those of us who do that. And Ramutef spoke of his rites of passage. I think he said, what is it? I think that's what he said as to why he has his on today. So when he comes, we'll definitely be discussing that. Nuke, did you want to talk about your views on us face painting for Halloween, or save that for when he comes back?
I just saw his 707. I keep seeing the numbers, but with that being said, I saw the pain on his face, and it reminded me of how we take face painting out of context and make it into something that is illusion driven, because of people believing that face painting is not a sacred or spiritual act. It is something that we were already into, and then it began to be like a child's play when it came to Halloween. So to see him with his face painted today, of all days, it just struck that light at me, and I'm like, yes, this is the day to bring the actual true celebratory sacredness of the face painting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sharing some photos from my Facebook page. These are personal to me, so I'm sharing these. I've been on Google search all day. I'm done with Google search today. And all
Right.
that. Yeah, so this is
Yes.
from my broadcast at 4 o'clock today. We spoke on Halloween for the kids, which is what Sister Nuke is touching on right now. And also, this is from last night. This is a picture of myself and the matriarch Cherie Reed. And
Okay.
this is her
Beautiful.
with the mask on in the front, and her adornments. And she spoke to me about, I think she was speaking of tribal wear, if that's her, because there was someone else last night that I was speaking to. So I'm not. She's in the comment section. She'll correct me. She'll get me. She got me. She got me. Um, and I'll share what she said to me when we were discussing how she was dressed for the event. Um, but yeah, because I talked to her about this look for myself I'm getting together. It's something that surprised me, came from out of somewhere. I don't know where yet. I got an idea. I feel, I can't really express it verbally, but I feel from the wear, and I'm just been watching it shape and take form. Ancestral adornments. This is what
I
she
know
told
you
me.
look amazing in white. I've seen you in that right there. You're glowing in that white, looking amazing. I've seen you in formal garb as well at Rim Pet in white, and definitely one of your, yes, one of your brights. Definitely one of your lights. I want
Gratitude.
to touch something real quick on behavior before we go in. Before Sister Bell is ready or Ramatef comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another one about behavior, behaviors and habits. This book that I have is speaking of before you go into tantric yoga, right? It reads here that, and behold, these things shall be performed by one who is clean and is ceremonially pure, a man who hath eaten neither meat nor fish, and who hath not had intercourse with women. And it applies to the female initiates not having intercourse with men as well. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
peace and love, family. So yeah, when I just read that, I'm like, wow, because this is also a requirement when we're moving into courting with someone. Because some people don't know that um well, they know, but they continue to run back and forth between people having sex with exes and stuff like that. If you're having sex with exes, you're not ready to be dating or courting, and I just want to put that out there because that's unclean.
Yeah, that's that back and forth, undecisive behavior. That's
Yeah.
very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. And here goes the outfit you was talking about with me, and then I'm done sharing.
Yes. Yeah, blow it up.
Blow it
Yes.
up. Can't.
Do you have the one with your feather? Where's your feather?
I didn't. I have one with my. No, somebody took these pictures. I didn't have one with my feather.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Okay.
think. Yeah.
I have the pictures. I have some pictures of you too. I gotta send to you.
Yeah. You for this broadcast.
No, 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 no. Just some pictures that I took from Ren Pet. I gotta send
Oh
some pictures.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yes, I appreciate those.
Yes.
But yeah, if it's anything you want me to share on the broadcast, you send it to me in Messenger. I'll pop it up here right quick.
Okay.
Um,
I'm
okay,
gonna go
Sister
out.
Joy, I'm ready to chime in.
Yes, Sister Bill.
Okay. What was the question again? The habits, the
Question
what?
question is, hold on for me. Behavior and habits that make you courting material or dating material.
Okay. Um, some of the habits from dating is gonna go into courting as well. So for me, for anybody in general, I think some of the habits that we look for, the behaviors, one would be someone's personality, the discipline, what their goals are, but that's more or less for the dating aspect. What this person values are, how they treat themselves, how they greet you, how they treat others. Either if that person is a smoker or a heavy drinker, you'd want to know if this person is self-aware, what this person enjoys doing in their spare time, their hobbies, if that person like is an adventurous, if that person is in touch with nature. These are some of the habits and behaviors that one looks for when it comes to dating, because that is going to help you make a decision towards the courting aspect of you know trying to evaluate if someone is what you're looking for. And in the courting aspect, there are many other behaviors and habits that you should look for in dating as well, but I'm just roughly going from my notes. In courtship, by then you've already collected some data from dating. So you would go a little bit deeper when you start to court somebody. You would know what that person's habit is, how they eat, how they talk, how they treat themselves, how they treat money. Because this is something that a lot of people tend to neglect until they're deep into the relationship or the courting, and they find out that this person is very careless with money, or this person doesn't have a clue how to be on a budget, or doesn't even have any set goals when it comes to utilizing currency. So that's something that you'd want to know. As Sister Nook was saying earlier, she read from the book, when you're going into a courting um relationship with someone, you would want to know if that person was celibate and for how long. You don't want to be courting someone who just slept with somebody 2 months ago, or last night, or last week, and here you are trying to make a decision as to if you want to be courting this person. So you want to take your time to even know, and that goes for both men and women. You need to have a moment of celibacy in your life before you even enter a courting relationship. Um, Another thing that you should be looking for is healing. If this person have any underlying traumas and shadow work that they need to address, how this person is dealing with those issues, if this person is even aware of what shadow is, if this person is even aware of what trauma is. These are things that you need to know whilst you trying to figure out if this person is courting, because with dating, somebody's not going to open up and tell you all of those things. So sometimes the more you get to know someone, the more comfortable that you become, they're going to open up to you and let you know certain things about them. Um, then you want to also have a progress report on what's going on, how much that person words is matching their actions. You want to know how this person view themselves and how they view you. You want to look at if this person has a you know a clear view of being a holistic person towards their wellness and your wellness as well. So, for example, if this person knows how to join you in prayer, if this person is aware when you're not speaking, what are you trying to say when you're silent? These are the little things that we tend to not pay attention to, but later on in the courting aspect, they come up and they create an even bigger problem for us, because in the beginning, we never took the time to even look at those little microscopic things that we should have looked at in the beginning of the courting relationship. You want to look at how somebody takes care of themselves, as Sister Nook mentioned in our episode 1. If this person's they brush their teeth, if they cut their nails, if they wash their hair, how many times this person takes a shower, and all of those things. If this person is in tune with like drinking herbal teas, helping you relax if you're having a tense day. There's a lot of things that you look for habitually and in behavior when you're trying to enter a sacred courting relationship. And these are some of the things that I wrote down in my notes.
Those are some powerful notes, Sister Bell. Powerful. And you were speaking on celibacy. And celibacy is one of the points I touched on, I think, maybe in the preparation and the advertisement marketing of this series. Joy Allen is dating now. If not, it was probably in a polygamy related video on the point of not, I need to know. I cannot be with somebody who was just with somebody. I can't. So that's one reason I could not be in a polygamous relationship, not as a sexual partner. I've said, and I stand by, the only way I would go in is to where there are sister wives, is if I'm the sister wife that is taking care of the children, like the daycare, nursery, and homeschooling. I'd go in under those type terms. Or, as I'm practicing my herbal my herbal awareness and knowledge, and if I would need it for things like that, anything, they probably anything sexual, I can't do it. I cannot be a part in that manner. I can come, I can in a polygamous relationship and do things concerning the children and or the household or the home, and or be like the support sister where I'm supporting the sisters in the house. You know what I mean? Like bringing that comfort and guidance. If that's what's next, I'm making that up as I go. I'm just trying to see how I can. That's just I can sit amongst the sisters and talk and be like, girl, yeah, I think you're good with. I think you need to tweak that. I can sit in those positions, but there's some positions in sexually is one of them. I can't do it. That whole, and I talked about I if they wouldn't even want me to be a sexual partner because I'm taking everybody to the clinic, everybody getting checked, and I'm doing pH balance checks. I'm looking at nutritional checks. I'm counting how many showers. I'm on Bell's list now. I'm counting how many showers you take a day. I'm counting how long you spend in the bathroom. I'm counting how long you've been in there. And if I walk by, if I smell a whiff of some things I shouldn't be smelling, because that means when you tucking, ducking, dodging out that door, you went to McDonald's. You didn't go just to go pick up the stuff for dinner that night. You stopped by McDonald's, girlfriend, and that's a no-no.
And
See, all
that's a
you
good
want to
thing,
go to the store.
Sister Joy, that you
I'm
brought up
glad y'all
the
hear where
point.
I'm coming from because that situation just bothers my nerves.
Right.
Sister Gail.
That's a good point that you brought up with the polygamy, because I've realized throughout watching social media that this polygamy term has been something at the forefront where everybody now is saying that they want to practice polygamy. And what I've realized is a lot of, the people who are in it do not know the true meaning or the basis of polygamy, because most people now who want to practice polygamy want to do it as a means of having multiple sex partners as opposed to protecting the family structure, because our ancestors practiced polygamy on the basis of protecting women who would have lost their husbands, and they didn't want these children growing up without the structure of the man being in there or the mother not be able to provide. But now this is not the case. You got people in polygamous relationship who now have women talking about bringing in multiple streams of income, as the women now being the breadwinner to take care of one man. And I don't know where this ideology book from or where it came from, but from what I've read and from what I've seen, I don't think there was ever a period where women went out and worked to take care of the man or the men in the relationship. So there is something going on with the rise of the feminine aspect, and also with um the masculine aspect now becoming effeminized, where they believe that they have to be catered to by women, or women now has to, because they want equality and you all want it, this and that or whatever, you now have to come into the relationship bringing all of those things. So it's a good thing that you brought up this polygamy thing, and I think at some point we need to have a discussion on it. The other thing about it is, for me, I cannot be in a polygamous relationship because, number one, I will not be able to be swapping spit with somebody, swapping spit or any form of body fluids with 3 and 4 and 5 different people. So that's a
Yes, I
no-no
spoke
for me.
on that
But
too.
to each his own. But then there is something missing when it comes to this term called polygamy.
Mm-hmm. I'll definitely speak on that because um one thing just from my own personal research when I looked into the whole polygamy, in a sense, some people, they might disagree with me, but in some sense, some people are made for that, but not in the sense of where it's been going. The way it's been going is more of a how you say, a pimp tactic. Like you are literally pimping your wives, and that's something that's not what it need to be. Um, when it comes to the whole thing of the polygamy thing, I discussed this, like, on a personal basis with Joy, when I told her about my whole views when it comes to the three aspects of a man, or the nature of a man. Um, there's three aspects. These three aspects are his mind, his heart, which is also his soul, and his body. When it comes to that particular mindsets of a man's nature in those three categories, no woman can fit all three. They can fit two, but not all three. And the reason for it is because of how we've been bred. I say this, for example, if a man was to be with a woman or multiple women in a sense in that form, there's only three categories that two of the three categories that a woman will fit in when it comes to that polygamy thing. One is the mental part, a person who has his mind, his mental space. When it comes to the body, is basically the experience when it comes going out, doing business adventures, things of that nature. And then when it comes to the heart is dealing more for the part of reproduction. When a woman gets with a man, they gotta understand that they have only two of those three that they're definitely fighting for. And subconsciously, a man and a woman don't really know about it, but when you start to really dig deep into to your union, your unification of the two or the three, or however you want to put it, when it comes to a man picking a woman, he's more so finding out which one has one of those three. When a person who has that man's heart, obviously they have children. When it comes to the body, it's that person who's always with him by his side doing work or working out, things of that nature. When it comes to the mental space, it's the person that he would call or talk to, like a counselor in a sense. And when it comes to being in a relationship, those three aspects, a woman may have his mind or his heart, but when it comes to his body, that's a whole different story. When it comes to the heart and the body, when it comes to that mind, you always know that there is an extra person that that person talks to, not in a whole sexual way, but more so in a way to clear the space, someone who he can confine into when it comes to dealing with his own personal relationships with others, or his personal relationship with his only partner. Um, that's just, my whole take when it comes to dealing with that polygamy, because a lot of people don't understand. A lot of these people who are out here in this whole scene of polygamy, they're basically taking pimp tactics, how a pimp would deal with his mistresses in a sense. The only difference is that you ain't out there making money from other people. You're making money from, you know, just your women and what they can do or what they can provide. When it comes to that whole scene of polygamy, me personally, the way that I would do it if I were to ever even think about doing something like that, it will not be no multiple people. It will be maybe two or three, but out of those two or three, one will have my mind, one will have my heart, and one would have my body. When it comes to that aspect, the one who has my body and my heart is the one I literally would have children with. The other two is just more so, how do we get to this, or how we're going to build that. Simple, just main simple um, functions when it comes to dealing in that realm. When it comes to sharing that sacred space, is if you want to have that sacred space, then by all means, that's what the whole term, well, a lot of people who and both genres have what they call baby daddies and baby mamas. That's basically a form of what you would call polygamy in a sense. And I, no offense to anybody. That's just my own personal view when it comes to that part. When it comes to sharing that sacred space that you're trying to build, and what us coming into it and not really having the right doctrines or even the right mindset, because of how society has literally played a part in our relationships. Excuse me, in our relationships is it's a very touchy subject when people don't really see the power that comes with it, but also there's a huge curse that comes with it, because as we all should know, there's some women who are not jealous, but there's a lot of women who will become jealous, and you don't want to have that type of rapport with your own people, because it's like in this day and age, this seems like, oh, that's maybe a cool thing to do. Oh, he has his both women, or she has her both men, and all this other stuff, and not really understanding the royalty that actually comes with it, and the provision and the providing that is shown to the masses of, I'm trying to build a kingdom, and I'm not here with the quote unquote fuck shit. I'm here to basically establish something with my family or my unit versus like, oh, I'm just showing it for show, and I'm gonna get my ratings and all this other stuff and have a fan club, and I'm gonna teach people my ways of pimping.
Peace for that, brother. That was really a good insight when it comes to polygamy. One of the things that we confuse quite often is the difference between polygamy and polygyny. Polygyny is when polygamy is practiced via the man having multiple wives. The women in that arrangement practice monogamy because they only have one spouse, but he practices polygyny because he has more than one spouse. So it's open for me. It's an open known fact that I support nation building when it comes to polygyny, but I also do respect that monogamy is not as old as polygyny, but it's been given more more respect over polygyny because when it comes to polygyny, if everyone is not in a principled relationship based on what you said about how we must respect each other, when everyone is not in a principled relationship and do not seek to be governed under that righteousness, justice, fairness, responsibility, and also just being accountable in these relationships. Sister Joy, if you can bring up the comment from my sister Erin Reed, peace and love to my beautiful sister Erin Reed. Can you bring that up, please?
You like me to bring up what again?
That comment from Erin Reed, you see her comment? Are you able to bring
The
this up?
Yeah, the African Afrocentric okay, yeah, this one.
Yes, because
Okay.
monogamy is not as ancient as the practice of polygyny, what she has written here is exactly why it does not receive the respect that it receives, and people often look down on women who are in these type of marriages because they don't respect the role in the strength that a woman has to have in order to place herself or be chosen for a principled marriage such as polygyny. But I think that studying, I've been in several polygynous groups, and I think that studying polygynous arrangements when it comes to marriage can teach people so much when it comes to monogamy, because in these type of principled marriage, they don't believe in possessiveness or attachment. They don't believe in owning a person because you're with the person. So being free to allow a person to be diligent when it comes to exercising their right of polygyny in a principal structure is one of the things that our people can learn a lot from when it comes to courting and dating. So I appreciate that being brought up, and we have to work harder at separating ourselves from a European standard when it comes to how we respect and honor each other, just in the way that we even respect and honor the masculine and the feminine bodies has been something that's been completely distorted when it comes to the European way of thinking. So this is very, very much so a great topic, family.
Yes, definitely. Would anyone else like to speak on this before we go to the next
Well,
topic?
that brings me back to go ahead, Sister Bell. Boy, it goes back to one of the cards that I drawn
Yes, thank you.
earlier.
I was going to ask you to go to the cards next, and after that, could we discuss the ritual face painting, and in regards to Halloween,
Oh
since
no,
you're
this is
here
not for
with us
Halloween. This
again.
is more for when I went to the cemetery. But
Yeah, I know, but yeah, remember we were prepping, and Sister Nuke wanted to talk about the Halloween face painting.
okay.
Yeah.
So then the next one, just a reminder, first one that I chose when it comes to dealing with the question was more on the level of commitment. Commitment. What is your commitments um to dating, and what would your commitments be to courting? What are your commitments, your self commitments, and then also what are the things that you need to change with your commitment? The next one is dealing with the topic at hand when we're talking about not even just polygamy, just the things that you want to put in perspective. Negotiation. What is the negotiation deals that you make when it comes to dating as well as courting?
That's a question for the panel.
Correct.
And it's what again?
What are your take on the negotiations that you set for yourself when it comes to dating as well as courting?
What is your take? I'm typing, y'all. I'm typing.
Yeah, what is your take on the negotiation factors of dating and courting? Yeah, I got some cash app. Yay.
All right. What is okay? No one else has spoken. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in on this one. What is your take on the negotiation factors? What negotiation?
Like, what is the negotiation like when it comes to dating? What do you negotiate? Like when you're in the form of dating, what are your negotiation, like your deal breakers in a sense? Or your deal makers? Deal breakers in a sense.
Uh, Deal breakers.
And deal makers and deal breakers in the form of negotiation. What is it for Joy? What is Joy's take on her deal breaks and deal makers? And what are you willing to, how you say, negotiate when it comes to that?
Based on last week's candidate readings, you gave us a brief on the overall reading, and also based on earlier speaking on my will on the willingness to be open and accountable for self. I right now would say I don't have any deal breakers. What did you say, deal breakers and what? Deal makers.
Yeah, and deal makers, yeah.
Deal breakers?
Like, some people put deal breakers as, red flags in a sense. But more so in this line, like what is, like when you're in the dating world, what is the thing what is the deal breaker for you personally?
Yeah, for me personally, when it comes to dating, I don't, in regards to courting, relation to courting now in my life, I don't have any. If we're at the dating part, which Sister Bell brought to the platform's attention, is data collecting.
Hmm.
I don't have any deal breakers on data collecting.
Okay.
I have an expiration date on how long I'll collect some data.
Hmm.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and that's based on that would be based on seeing that the courting possibility is non-existent with that person.
Mm,
That's when I'm going to stop collecting data, and that's when the dating in relation to courting is over.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
But yeah, there's no deal breakers with dating. Deal breakers with courting. Hold on, deal makers with dating. I'm not even gonna touch that. Deal breakers on courting. Deal breakers on courting. Because I've learned since last Sunday to be flexible and adjustable. Take my own advice and apply it to courting, and not be so stern and structured on the procedures that I put in place, the filters that I put in place for myself. To be ever changing, which means being adjustable. So my deal breaker on commitment, my deal breaker on courting. Yeah, it's saying that he's not gonna make it. It's not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. And after, who was that speaking on? Somebody was talking about. I can't even remember right now. My points keep going. It might come back to me. Ramotef, if you would ask someone else for me.
I'm going to go into the first question that you said, brother, that you asked, brother. And that is, what are the things that we need to change when it comes to courting? I'm going to apply that to both courting and dating because I learned a valuable lesson. One of the things that individually I need to change when it comes to dating and courting is believing that I have a type. And if this person does not measure up to that type on outward appearance, I'm not jeopardizing or speaking about like cleanliness or order or being hardworking. I'm talking about how tall a person is, what size a person is, what they look like. When it comes to what a person look like is one of the things that I have to change when it comes to dating and courting, because so many don't get past that point where they may have been someone that's doing a great job when it comes to striving, but because of my narrow-mindedness when it comes to what a person looks like, that's something that I need to change. The other one is what are when it comes like what are our takes on negotiation factors in courting and dating. When it comes to deal making for me, I like to study what a person is ruled under. I like to know what rules a person. If a person is able to, one of my favorite things right now, I'll say, is a person not being ruled by money, not being ruled by sex, not being ruled by addictions, not being ruled by things that have no real power. If a person is not ruled under those things, that's a deal maker for me when it comes to dating and courting. If they are, it's a deal breaker. Just because you still being ruled by certain things. I'm not minimizing your work when it comes to building yourself up so that you're no longer ruled under these things. But I don't want to be around cigarette smoke. And like Joy, I don't want somebody bringing me McDonald's to eat or certain things. If you're not able to function because you don't have a certain amount of money because you may be reinvesting, or it's just certain things when it comes to what you're ruled under. If you're ruled by notoriety or an outward show, you want to be celebrated by people based on what you look like and what you do, those things are deal breakers for me.
I like that one. That
I like that too.
rule, what you rule by,
That's
and
what
all
you
them
rule by,
appearances and
boy.
stuff. Oh no, I can't do that neither. And
No,
that
I can't do
money
that no more.
and that cigarette smoke. No, 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 no.
Right. If you aiming to be the best dressed, okay.
Sister Bell, you got anything on it as well? Okay, so now I'll go to the last one. The last one I chose is because it's dealing with the current moon phase, which is in Leo. So on this one, I went ahead and chose what it is. The key words on this one is compromise. Compromising. What do you take on the what does it take? What do you compromise when it comes to those two factors, dating and courting?
What do you compromise when it comes to dating and courting?
Mm-hmm. I
Compromise.
give it just give it. I'll give it a little minute. It's no it's no real. It's no rush. It's more so just sit back, think on it, and when you're ready, just go ahead and speak on it.
Mind you, this question is coming at 7:44 on the dot. You started speaking this question. The first thing you said at 7:44 was moon phases.
Mm-hmm. That's the current. Yeah, it's the current moon phase. The moon's in Leo segment, so it's like dealing with that emotional expression, and that expression it comes with the compromise. What compromising tactics are you bringing, in a sense, or what are you compromising when it comes to dating and courting? What is it that you're willing to give up, or willing to, in a sense, negotiate when it comes to dating or collecting the data? What things are you willing to, not necessarily bypass, but what are you compromising for? What is the end game for real, when it comes to compromising? For myself, I'll be more in the lines of um, learning to let go of control when it comes to the dating aspect. Um, Dating to me, now currently, I would literally, I'm taking that form from Sister Bell and from the Hamets on this platform on collecting the data, because a lot of us definitely don't do that. We get what we want versus what is needed, especially on my end, because I have a big heart. When it comes to the things that I've been working on, is that part of control, my control factor. What I see fit in our relationship should just go my way and my way only. Never what she thinks. What I feel like what she thinks is more so like, oh well, if you want to do this and this, we can do this and this. And in my terms, I always tell people I don't do nigga shit. I haven't done nigga shit for a long time, for a
I
very long
should.
time. I don't do the whole out going out to shows and comedy shows and things like that. I tell people straight up, they're gonna be on Netflix. I'd rather sit back at home with me and you cracking up, talking jokes, coming up with our own punchlines from the movie. So when we cut with other couples and things of that nature and we start saying keywords and they see us all weirded out and stuff, it's something that's between me and you. I gotta learn how to compromise that in a sense, but more so, my goal is to make sure that my mission is to liberate the mind and bring cosmic awareness to the people. I know for a fact that I know I have to, how you say, let loose and not be so much in control of my destiny. Allow my destiny to play out because I already know it. I need to just let it play out instead of just trying to rush it. When it comes to the courting part, um, it's in the same it's still in the same era, learning not to take too much control. Also, I need to learn to be more open with my feelings, or be more expressive with my words and feelings when it comes to how I feel things should pan out, or how I feel that this person makes me feel, because I know that's a big factor when it comes to especially in the dating, when it comes to collecting. One thing I know is that I gotta be more how you say I gotta learn to not date or even court people I truly do not like. That is one thing I truly gotta work on. Truly gotta work on.
Ooh, you're hitting some strong points, brother. When he said control, I know I screamed.
Yeah, I know I have a weird control problem that I didn't realize about myself until recently, early in the Gregorian year, I should say. Um, when I found that out, I was just like, damn, like I see exactly why I have a lot of issues when it comes to I'm thinking things should be this way, and I'm forgetting that this person is totally different or the opposite of myself. So I'm not willing to
Yes.
negotiate, commit, or compromise towards what it is that I know that this
Yes.
person that I'm either dating or courting.
Ooh,
Those are the things that I know personally I have to work on, and I've been working on
yes, thank you. You brought it. You put me in a hot seat with that.
it. But
Because
it's a lot, a lot of brothers I understand
Ooh,
will not even admit that part about themselves. You know what I mean? Like I personally can admit it because I see where a lot of my errors are when it comes
yes,
to even in the dating world. How I just be like, all right, I know how to use my looks and my charm and my energy to get what I want, but I need to learn how to let that go and allow that person to use that type of energy to get me instead of me using that energy towards them.
now that's a total different subject right there. But I have to comment on that control really quick because as as a person that is actually learning to be in harmony with the force of earth, being able to be more impulsive when it comes to a fire nature person, or being able to be more fluid and more just free flowing when it comes to a water nature person, or just being able to not have a plan or be breeze through situations when it comes to air, and not having to feel like they have to be as deep as I am when it comes to conversation and different things like that, because they can kind of be just touch the surface and keep cool. They don't like to dive in all the time. So learning to be more, learning to lose control. It doesn't matter who the person is. It can be, in courting and dating, yes, but I'm finding that overall learning to lose control and just be free in the nature of taking the journey one step at a time is so valuable when it comes to relationships, because we don't realize how much we control things based on our nature, our ruling nature. One of the things that Ramutef brought up last week is you spoke on. Let me see how to word this. You were speaking on the nature of the candidates, and Joy came in, and then we got into how people measure up, or you got into Joy having more of, she can lean more towards a masculine nature, and that gets into, when I heard that, I'm thinking of a person that wants, just knows how they really want things and kind of want things to play out the way that they want it. It stuck to me because of the fact that I've been told that I can be hard on people. And so being under what we know is Saturn, and that being so forceful and controlled, dealing with that lead and that earth, one of the things that is really big right now is losing control. So thank you for that. That was bullseye.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then all right. So I'll give more insight on that when you spoke on that Saturn. So like for myself, going to natal chart type of information. So for myself, I have what is called Saturn and Libra in the fifth house. And again, fifth house is expression, the way that you court a person. I'll definitely look into that area all the time when it comes to how when it comes to the putting people's charts together. That fifth house tells a lot of that person's nature when it comes to how they court or how they date or how they express themselves towards other people. So for me example, with mine's having Libra, and the Libra's dealing with partnerships. Then you also got Saturn, which is dealing with your structure, your control, your limitations. Then I have that slight little Pluto with the Virgo in there, and then we all understand that Virgos have a very controlling nature in a sense. I don't want to bash on them, but they have a little bit of control nature. So I have like triple, double, quadruple control problems. I gotta control my relationship. If I can't control my relationship, you shouldn't even be around me. And that's something that that's I don't want to say that's a huge masculine thing, but with me it's a huge thing. But my thing about it is that I'll allow my partner to do certain things here and there, but at the end of the day, if I see it, we're not looking like a unit, then I got a problem.
I was just thinking, Joy, how does that feel? Because she's been smiling the whole time too. Joy.
Okay, was the masculine controlling factor?
Yeah.
It's just he went through the analytical portion of why Virgo is so controlling because of the nitpicking, and then how that control factor is coming into relationships, and that, oh my goodness, that was top analyst right now, profound.
Hmm. How
Yeah.
they say I'm a picky. How you say I'm very picky when it comes to my relationships. Hugely picky. Like I
Yeah,
can
I thought it
flirt,
was
I can do all kinds of
a
stuff, but as
question
far as doing the
specific.
relationship, if you're not willing to, how they say, and this is coming into my the Leo aspect of myself. If you're not trying to, um, I don't want to say praise me as a king in a sense, or stroke my ego, you're not going to have a chance.
That's definitely Leo.
Hmm. Like
Well,
I and that's a certain part I worked on a long time ago, because when I seen that I said I ain't gonna never have no relationship with anybody if I have that stuff going on, boy, because ain't nobody gonna want that. Mm-mm. They ain't trying
yeah,
to deal with that.
yeah, that
I
was
don't know. They ain't trying to deal with what, Ramuta.
Me being
they want
very
that.
very detailed and orientated with how I feel that you should treat me.
Oh,
That's okay.
Ramuta.
No, I
You
mean
be
like to the T. Like I'm gonna tell you exactly. This is what I want. I got pet peeves. If you break any of
Virgo.
these pet peeves, I'm gonna make your life and live in hell.
That's Virgo. Small, intricate details. It that
And
make
that's all in my
that
fifth
makes
house.
the machine work. The
hmm
intricate details.
That's all in my fifth house. And when I seen that, I
Number
said, "Oh,
C,
I gotta work on that."
718.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
Can she
Yeah,
hear us?
I thought she here. I think she's talking to somebody else.
Mm. But yeah,
Sister Bell.
those parts is the part that I look into. I definitely look into those parts when it comes to because I take this very serious when it comes to that synastry of a person's relationship with each other. Because I'm not only going to just tell you the bad stuff, I can also tell you the good stuff. And then it comes to the point, if you're in the relationship, then that's when we sit down and we discuss certain things. And if you can work those things out, or have that recollection within self to work those things within yourself while you're already in a relationship, I I promote that big time. When it comes to going into the dating realm, it's just more so the same thing of collecting data. You need that data that you need. I knew she was gonna say that. Yeah, I know. I gotta work on that. We discussed that before too. I definitely gotta work on my self my selfishness.
We got you, Ramutef. We
Yeah,
got you.
definitely. But yeah, it goes back to the original question. Um, what are the things you willing to compromise when it comes? What are your compromises when it comes to dating and courting?
I lost my answer. I'm gonna have to run it back. Oh, my compromise. I'm over here managing the studio and stuff, so I'm in and out sometimes up here. Um. Oh, compromise. Okay. I've been willing to oh give a little more space when it comes to communication. I've been a little bit more tolerable while this courtship series has been developing and continuing through its phases. Before, when it comes to commitment, I straight cut them off. Like, you heard what I said. It makes sense. You're talking in circles. Then you're not even finishing the sentences of the circles that you're attempting to create. So the circle is made up of fragmented thoughts that they're trying to put in a sentence form. I was like, no, that's not it. And I cut them off. I tell them what they're saying, what they're meaning to say, and the only thing I'm trying to hear. So I'll be speaking for them. I'm like, no, what you mean is this. Hold on. Before you ask me that question, let's finish this question. So, yeah, I'm kind of like Evelyn. I don't compromise nothing, but I found that not too many men, for some reason, when it comes to being in a relationship, for sure, because communication seems to switch up between knowing that person, like, you know, they met you at your job and they just everyday little chit chat, little conversation breakers, whatever they call. And then you actually get with somebody and it's like all of a sudden the communication is done because the whole little side chat was happening. The little get to know you and feel good convo was happening. And now I am me. The convo is straight like this from the gate. I ain't about to do that broken up little get to know you conversation and the mild mannerisms and how are you? And then we get together and be, oh, what do you mean? Nah, I am like this all the time. Period. I ain't about to smooth you up and butter you up and then it'll be getting the house like, where this crazy chick come from? No, I'm crazy chick all the time. So now what I've done lately is I hear them out. I'll sit there, I'll listen. But in the same time, I'm like, okay, you done talking? So let's go back to your first question. They be like, oh. I'll be like, what? I wasn't going to interrupt you. I'm going to let you get your thoughts out. So your first question was this. So let's go back to this. They hate that. The men I've come across like just speaking in broken thoughts. It's like they really don't want a response or answer. It's like their way of venting or getting things off their chest or something. I'm working on a compromise in that area because there's a reason there's a breakdown in communication. So I'm finding methods to compromise with men to break the code of communication breakdowns.
Sister Bell, what's your take on it?
I don't know if she should be compromising anything until you compromise when you've already courted and you're comfortable with your mate. You don't compromise before. Because for me, it's like I'm so solid on boundaries that I don't want to like compromise on, okay, let's say, for example, like my peace, my space. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm reading, and then you want to come watch football. Now I gotta like say, okay, I gotta
That's a
compromise
breakdown in
my
communication.
peace so that you could enjoy soccer. But meanwhile, you didn't even think of compromising you watching the game so I could finish doing my studies. You know, so for me, it's like, you know, we go in, I see where you're at, you see where I'm at, you know what I stand for, I know what you stand for. And then I could make a decision as to what I'm willing to compromise. Some people want you to compromise time with your children, for example, so that you could spend more time with them. I'm not compromising my time with my kids for nobody. So there's so many other little things that you gotta like look into, you gotta like prioritize and know, where you want to place value before you start to even compromise things, and for who you even compromising. Because some of these people come in as wolf in sheep clothing. You don't even know who they are until you really know who they are. So the compromising thing for me, it's like I'm selfish like that. And that's one of the places that, I have to work on not being so selfish, but at the same time, it's like it saves me a lot of trouble of not dealing with a lot of bullshit by me not having to compromise me for somebody that I don't even know until I know them, if that makes sense.
Sister Newt, what's your take on it?
My take on it is I completely agree. I'm not in the stage of just desiring a compromise right off bat, especially when it comes to that. I have to know the severity, or I have to know if a part of me needs to be a part of my thinking needs to be compromised. Like I have to assess it a bit much. I feel like through the years, compromise was so easy, and the way that it was easily done is when I take the time to look back and think on some things, I'm like, no, you compromise too much of yourself. Like you can compromise yourself to a point where you actually degrade yourself. And so no, not that's why it's so important for there to be a match, because the patience of knowing that you are divinely created the way that you are matters. Everybody is not going to fit. Every situation will not fit. So when we get to speaking of compromise, mm, not in a way, not unless I see that I'm closed and I need to be more open. Like I spoke about being more flexible when it comes to my nature, as far as being so fixed and being matter of factly. That way I'll flow a bit more, but I have to really know much more about what I'm compromising these days, because it's not just easy to do anymore.
Ramita,
Um, Another point I want to make in terms of compromising, and it just came to me as Susan said that she's got to know she's not willing to compromise so much of herself, which is basically what I said. But in courting someone too, we got to remember something about compromising, because that's where you start to become intimate with people. And I've had experiences, and I've known of people who've had experiences as well, where you get into the part where it becomes sexual, and people want you to compromise the way that you feel you should be treated in a sexual manner. You understand? So a lot of those things, when we talk about compromising, that's one aspect of it, because now you get to know what this person is like and what they value when it comes to being intimate. So I'm not going to compromise me as a divine woman to somebody who is reckless and wants to do anything and everything under the sun just to fulfill some fleshly desire. So that's why for me it's like compromising is like a no-no for me for so many reasons. It's, I'm going to respect you and you're going to respect me. We could compromise on who takes out the trash. We could compromise on how much money you want to put towards a bill. But there are other things that I'm not going to compromise with anybody at any time.
Noted. That's noted.
Yeah, because that can be parallel to egoism. And it's like planning. When you speak about the bill or you speak about the trash, that's more so making plans to do something versus compromise. But many of the experiences that we learn from when it comes to compromises is so much to deal with ego, and not here for the ego. Mm-mm.
So as they say, we got one thing for sure. A lot of, especially masculine, we got literally. That's one thing that we all really got to start working on is checking that, because that is our biggest. That is our biggest downfall, hands alone. Literally, for the men, that is something that is really challenging. Some can get past it, but not a lot of them, especially these new generations. Oh hell no! But we'll work with them. I'll work with them eventually. I'll work with them.
Ramutep, you have another card for us?
No, that was only three. That was only three that
Okay.
I how you say spirit moved me to do once I came from what I was doing, because I was
Okay.
thinking about the questions and seeing certain things in those areas, like our conversation that we had yesterday actually, and then from that it brought me to like, I wonder if I can do this and pick and choose from the three, and from the three, one of them is obviously the compromise, because that's dealing with today's moon phase. When if I was doing a reading today for anyone, that will be the moon phase for that particular deck on the level of compromising or compromise. And then with us being in the first day of what they call Libra Upawat, and us talking about relationship, this is a great day to speak on that. On the first day of Libra, and Libra's dealing with relationships. Oh yeah, picked a good day, Joy. I'll give you your props on
8-11.
that
Gratitude, gratitude. Speaking of relationships, I would like to I'm going to share this reveal from last week's results in
one.
regards to candidate number 2. Do we need to revisit candidate number two's results, chart results?
I would like
If you
to.
want to, yeah, we can.
Okay, I got it. Hold on.
I'll have to pull it up.
Because from what I've seen, candidate number 2 was what you call a crowd favorite. Candidate number 2 is a crowd favorite. I had an ex of mine. I talked to one of my exes, and my ex was like, "Why don't you hook up with candidate number 2?" I was like, "What? Shut up!" You know what I mean? Just something else. I was like, "Shut up! Stop it! No." That whole liar and trapped in the unless you corner him, he'll tell the truth type event. And not regard because my ex was looking at the whole business aspects, the business sides that are there. No, it's not. I won't. Hold on, y'all. I got it. Here we go. Candid number 2, strengths. Creative with business, a charmer, full of wisdom, peaks intelligence, great work partner. Trials, habitual liar, doesn't say truth till cornered, not aware how his actions affects people, and needs constant recognition. In regards to our charts together, his strengths are he's a great intellectual match, a great intimate match for me, and a great on business ethics. His trials when our charts are together is he flirts too much. So yeah, there was a lot of great feedback and support for Candid too. Did anyone have anything they wanted to share on Candid too? Anything new from last week?
Yeah, I didn't do his life path. I didn't even do that part. I didn't even
Uh,
think about. I didn't even think about doing life paths. I was just going straight off of planetary alignments, and that's it.
okay. Well, based off of what I know, his life path is not even necessary. Candidate number 2 is married.
I didn't get any vibrations from that when I read when you were reading it. I was just no.
The whole lying, unless you corner him, he'll tell you the truth. The flirtatious, you know what I mean? Even being a part of the courtship series and you're married is a grounds of flirtatious. Somewhere there's that it goes together.
Deceit, lower
Hmm.
self,
Yes.
deception.
That's excess baggage, joy, that you just don't need. Like, you really don't need that. That doesn't even align with you as a sacred woman. It doesn't align with your divinity.
And
It
it's
doesn't align with,
unacceptable.
yeah, it really doesn't. So,
So yeah, I wasn't feeling it when we was talking about it. I remember some people were like in his favor, and I was like, mm. Yeah. So the update on Candid too is he's a no go. He's married.
Yeah, I was trying not to put that out there,
Joy
but
Allen bust him up. Joy
yeah,
Allen will bust him up.
Right.
yeah, I
Yes.
wasn't trying to put that out there, but yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it. Now, moving on from there, Ramutep, can you talk to us on your view on Halloween face painting?
Mm,
And Nuke says she would share that when you got back and we discussed it.
mm. Well, for me, back in the day, it was just more so for um, the enjoyment. Didn't know too much about it. All I knew was that hey, we just do this and blah 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 blah, and go get candy. That's it. Nowadays, for me right now, the type of practices that I've been doing and understanding for me, it's just what's the right word? Rite of passage. So there's certain markings that I will put on my face to express myself when it comes to dealing with that spiritual nature, especially when dealing with the graveyard. As you can see, for myself, when going in the graveyard, I always got to keep my head covered because a lot of those energies can stay on you, and especially with me having locks, they definitely will latch on to those things. But when it comes to anything outside of that, I'm not too much aware of. I just know what I've been practicing and what I've been doing for the past couple of years is, just been my thing. But I definitely want to know more on Sister Nuke. Go ahead, Sister Nuke.
I was um I was actually speaking more on face point painting when it comes to our. Let me see if you can get a good, if you can see it. Well, it's probably too bright for the light, but
Or
just
you can share, can you
I was
send it
gonna
to
say,
me in Messenger?
yes, I'm gonna
turn
send
down the
it.
brightness.
Yeah, or turn down the brightness, mine.
I'm gonna send it down again.
And while she does that, and Ramutep is now here, I'm going to share this image again.
Mm, 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 mm. Yay!
Yay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we shared this earlier, Ramutep, when you popped out.
Yeah, I was so thankful for that. I really am.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank
Sister
you.
Nook, you were ready?
Yeah, I sent you a couple of things in the
Okay,
inbox.
got it.
So, in ancient cultural or ancient rituals, face painting was revered as a way for us to incorporate different energy into our space, to express ourselves and the energy from within, and also to cultivate other type of either celebratory, if we needed to remove something, if we needed to actually grow in a way where we were becoming one with nature or our ancestors. It was
Did you
one
want to look
where
at me to look at one of these specifically?
I sent the link to you.
It was this screen right here.
And that was the first one, just showing some different examples of face painting.
Okay.
So that was just one as an example of cultural. Okay, and then the other one that I sent you is one about cultural face painting, and it's not something that I've actually researched in depth when it comes to that link that I sent you, but it is one that speaks about how we are able to just cultivate different type of energy and incorporate that energy into either us or our environment, and how this type of sacred ritual has now been taken over as like a fun point making process or just child's play. But to know where it actually comes from and to know the difference of the universal elemental forces, and also knowing the nature of our bloodline and knowing what we can actually tap into to harness different energy to pull favor or to be one with anything that we're working to harmonize with. And speaking of, it says the geometric design, um, sacred geometry, just getting into who we are as divine beings. Face painting is one of those ways that we can actually utilize this ancient practice for whatever we seek, but not to be confused with Halloween and how they play around with, you know, just doing other things. So just wanted to say that and give honors to Brother Ramutef, Anouk Ramutef Kweb, for being able to just, use his higher intuition and follow that pathway for what he's doing today, knowing that this is a day when it is used in illusion. He brought it in a way where it is actual truth for our people, and something that's been with us for as far as we have known, because we would use the different muds, we would use herbs, we would use the clays, and just use different pigments from minerals to actually bring in nature. And so I just want to give honors for that.
Gratitude. I'm enjoying this article right here.
Mm,
Sister Joy and Sister Nook and
yes.
Ramutev, what I found out recently about, and that's the face painting incorporated, that Halloween really is the birth of our soul. Halloween represents the birth of Osiris. And for me, like my cultural background, I know we celebrate, we have those times where you face paint and you put on all the, the indigenous costumes with the feathers and stuff to invoke those energies. So it is also, a lot of us have been spooked about Halloween. And that's why the energy passes over and we don't get to utilize it or tap into it. And other entities are taking that energy and doing all the mischief that they're doing with it. The other thing about Halloween is the reason why most people are painting their faces and dressing in all the, the horrific costumes is actually depicting our shadow self, because that's where all our we get to put on display our demons, the things within us that we don't want to face on any normal day. But we get this one day in the year where you could go out as the Grim Reaper, you could go out as Freddy Krueger, but all of these are personas from your shadow. When you go into your shadow self, that's where you have all those mirror um, projections, basically showing you all the things in horror that you don't want to deal with. So Halloween now is the moment where you feel fortified to come out and be that person. However, our demons, what I found out, is what we truly need to utilize to even navigate certain time periods in this plane. And we cannot be Miss Goody Goody Tissue all the time. We cannot be the gentleman all the time. Sometimes we really need to put our things out. We need to get, the machete. We need to shed some blood, not in, literally, but spiritually. And, tap into those energies that are really gonna, protect us and guide us and help us in our ascension.
I be trying to tell y'all, she be bringing Ogun every time. I swear. I
Every time.
swear. Every time. I love it. I love it. But
Yeah.
she's very correct. Like a lot of people are too not too comfortable because they rather pick those days of the year. So like for myself, there's literally two times I will go to the cemetery. On this particular day, no matter what day it is, as long as it's always going to be when the sun is in Libra. So I go and visit my loved ones to understand like who should is this person perfect for me? Is this person that I'm dealing with, is this person right for me? Like I go to my ancestors, my relatives in the cemetery, because I can go to the ones that still are living, but most of them is not for my best interest. So I'm gonna go to a place where I know that I can start communicating with. Because for me, I can't hear or see them. I can only feel them. That was my gift. My gift is feel them. I can feel if the spirit is present. I can feel the energy presence of anything. I cannot see it or hear it, but that feeling that I get is that type of communication I get. The second time is during the Gregorian holiday of what they call Thanksgiving, and I usually um, for the past 2 years now, I've been going there because there's a particular cemetery where my family, resides at. And before you get to that cemetery, there's a crossroads. So I always go to the crossroads before I even enter into, that domain and dealing with certain spirits that I'm, became um, very aware of, very aware of, especially when I'm in there. Um, that literally are there to help in the sense of what I come to do. When it comes to dealing with the markings that I put on my face, like for the Rempet, that was definitely a great opening of the way ceremony for not just myself and those around me, but it was also for your granddaughter. And when I came to her, I was just moving in spirit, like, do you want to would you like me to do this for you? And she was like, yes. And then at that same time, I ended up giving her a name.
No, she selected her name. You
Hmm.
asked her to select the name and she chose Moon
Hmm.
Fox.
Yes, and yeah, just allowing her to, how you say, give
Okay.
herself a name
Mm-hmm.
that she would choose to be sacred to her, and that's what I drawn on her face, is what she wanted to be represented as. And then for myself, um I cast the shells that's according to the old dudes on my hands, and the one that I chosen was Obara, or what they would call Obara Meiji, and that's the markings that's on my face if folks wanted to ever know what it was for my face. And then dealing with that one when I was doing a reading for myself, understanding that Obara is in my right hand, and I started looking into it by consulting with my team out in Trinidad. Shout out to my team out there, and understanding that aspect of myself that's part of my father's lineage in a sense versus OD Meiji, which is on my mother's lineage in a sense. And as I started diving into it, and I started seeing that when I started reading in other doctrines, when it comes to not just dealing with Ifa or Yoruba or dealing with Lukumi, they all represented the process of becoming a great leader. But there's all these aspects that I'm taking on, or negative aspects that I'm taking on from different type of spirits or deities or netures, and those things I started to realize that I needed to work on to make myself not only a better leader for self, but as far as a better leader when it comes to those who confine in me or talk with me or just looking for guidance.
Gratitude. Is there any comments, feedback from the panel? Anything anyone want to share? Open panel discussion.
I just appreciate this day that we're having, and I'm definitely got to go back to the replay because I definitely missed out on. I definitely missed out on some good points. I know I did, but I'm definitely gonna go back because I appreciate the wisdom and the straight truth words that come from the Hametz, because a lot of this is needed. Henceforth, the program, My Sister's Keeper, it's not only for, the gathering of Hametz, but it's also the understanding that we as the masculine, or in a sense, Nasuts, need to come together in a great union when it comes to expressing these issues that we have, especially in this category when it comes to understanding the not so much the correct role, but the perfect role for yourself when choosing a mate, or just basically going into the realm. And I like to use this now, collecting data, or going on dates.
Um, I want to share something further on the face painting and Halloween and how it all ties in, because I heard Brother Ramutel speak about, going into the cemetery and tapping into, that and the energies that are there. One of the things that I always grew up hearing my grandfather would say, he would say that the richest place on earth is the cemetery, because there's so much, ancestors in there with knowledge and energy that we can utilize. And I never understood what he meant by that, but now I understand it. So the other thing that we need to know too is we do not just tap into the energy of the ancestors who came here. We have to tap into the energy of, our star tribe, our star system, because we have forces out there, in us, in ourselves, who are just waiting for us to call on them to help us, do what we're supposed to do and what we came here to do. And if we come from, or we keep saying that we are star seeds and we are in indigos and all of those names, but we're not utilizing or living to the full potential of these names, it makes no sense. It means that we are defeating the purpose of coming here to serve the mission. So now, even with the I don't know if you all heard that there's a meteor shower happening around this time, which is supposed to be taking place either today or yesterday. These are energies that we are supposed to be tapping into, because these are our, galactic forces, or, protectors coming through to give us, ammunition that we need right now. Halloween or Hallows Eve, whatever name they want to call it, is one of the times, the pivotal points on earth that we get into tap into some serious energy, which could do some serious, damage or destruction, not against us but for us. And we cannot just be sitting here and, you know going all goo goo gaga about this thing. Wearing a costume is one thing, but wearing a costume with intent is another thing. Our intentions must always be clear. When you paint in your face, what are you trying to tap into? What is the reason for doing it? I know certain paints, the colors, you use certain colors for certain things. That's why the Indians wear the bindi. Most people say that they wear it because they want to represent as the third eye, but there's another reason why they wear it. you know so these are the things that we have to start working on and cultivating, as star people, to really really see what we are made of, truly.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can definitely correlate with that, because when it comes to well, I'll go back to astrology in a sense. Like for myself, me dealing with my rising sign is Taurus. Venus is my ruling planet. Who else does Venus rule? Libra. During around these, especially during Taurus season, when the sun goes into that mug, I'm a very cocky individual. I started noticing. I get a lot of, um, a lot of, a lot of. I feel myself energy big time during those times. When during the times of May till June, boy, I watch myself now. During this time, it's more of me trying to find out what is not so much wrong with me, but what is it that I'm doing wrong, not just in my personal relationships, but in my working relationships, and also with the people that I consider my closest friends and my closest allies. This is that time. This is that period for myself to literally sit back, convene with my counsel, and find out what is the best move for not just for myself but with them as well. And during this time, this is a for me, it's the perfect time to deal with that. And then until how they say Thanksgiving, in a sense, during that period, I just go on my father's birthday and basically um, apply my lifestyle to that.
Anyone else have anything to share on that topic? Okay, I'm going to share. I'm sharing being transparent. So when it comes to graveyards, cemeteries for myself, that is not a place that I would visit until this year. Seriously. I have been to right now 3 funerals. 3 funerals. And of those three, no, four. And up, no, three. And of those three, I've only been to one cemetery, one grave site, and that was this year, and that was my dad's mother. Um, I consider myself going on a family on an obligation based on my teachings from my mother. There's nothing at the graveyard to go visit. There's nothing there. That's what she taught me. So I never went. I never seek to go there or none of that. Now, around the same time that I went to the cemetery this year for my grandmother, I felt was on a family obligation. I also was learning at the same time the significance from my Siba, Ramutef Queb, of visiting cemeteries. So that is not an energy I tapped into, but definitely the star system, the star seed energy that Sister Bell was speaking on. That's something that I have been tapped into for some time, and that tie, that link has gotten stronger over time. So I think with the level of strength with that tie, that it's the time that is now time for me to tap into the earthly ties, the cemetery part. So again, that's not something I ever even planned or look into doing. It just is the timing and how the events have happened this past season. That's where I'm at and what I'm working towards. So that's just some transparency from me. Anyone have any feedback, comments, or anything else they'd like to discuss before we leave today, this evening?
For myself, I just want to just thank you all for being here on the platform of my sister's keeper. Definitely keep up the great work with your personal endeavors. My closing words is enjoy your time, spend time with those who really mean a lot to you, conversate more. Don't allow individuals to steal a lot of your energy, especially with their downfall, unless you have the time and space for it. Again, my name is, or I should say, my apologies, Anouk Ramatef Queb. I'm Ramatef Queb. You can find me on Facebook as Ramatef Queb. You can find me on Instagram as Ramatef_Queb. I'm a practitioner of divination practices. Come check me out and definitely subscribe, like, and please read a lot, apply a lot of this topic that we're discussing for future those who watch this in the future. I appreciate everyone. Atunra Ma'at Hotep.
Sister Bell, if you would give us your words of departure, your departure words. You've muted your mic, Sister Bell.
Sorry.
Gratitude.
Um, so thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a pleasure again. Um, I hope everyone gets, some tips and tools that they could utilize in making better decisions as they move forward in dating and courting. And not only dating and courting, because we also share other information besides that. Learn to, be one with yourself and learn, you know, how much of a spiritual being that you are, that you can utilize some of the information that we share here. Once again, thank you so much. It was a divine opportunity to be here this evening. Sister Joy, we're going to do this, I think, next week. Thanks again for having me on the panel, Sister Nook, Brother Ramutep, Sister Salima, and everyone else. Thank you. Have a great evening. And let's not forget that tonight is truly a night to celebrate the birth of your soul. Ashe.
Ashe, sister. Gratitude to the family. Gratitude to Sister Joy, Anouk Ramutef, and also Sister um, Mother Matriarch Salima for this platform, and also for opening the door for not only us but others to learn more about your divinity and how to apply the application of self. When it comes to this series, I'm so grateful for the exchange because, like I said, it gives me a reason to get back into my books again. So, just been touching up and reading more and been enacting more practices that I hadn't carried out in a while because of this series. So I'm so thankful. My main thing that I would say to anybody here is to, you've heard me say this many times, love you. Love you, seek higher self within you. And once you love you, it allows you to remove so many limits and false expectations of others when you learn to love and embrace yourself. I am Nuk Abha Samanu with Life Force Energy Metaphysical, highest frequency design, 7 May Divine and Alchemy of Essence. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram at LFE Metaphysical, and just online at Life Metaphysic without the I, lfemetaphysic.com. And I appreciate the panel as well. Thank you so much.
And I am Joy Allen. You can find me on YouTube at Karmic Dynasty, Facebook at Joy Allen, and also Instagram and Twitter at MKDTNT. I appreciate being a part of this courtship series. I could not do it without those who have helped develop the series, those who help develop and create the platform, and those who come each time we are here to help shape the, the flow and of that episode. I appreciate all of the feedback in the comment section in regards to speaking of that flow. I appreciate the nature and the energy in the comment section. And to me, it's sometimes it is this appearance that we're all up here at the same time on the screen. So to me, sometimes it's a little crowded and the screen is like 20 people up here sometimes. And me, I feel you all like right here. So I appreciate the energy. I'm feeling energy also from those that are not appearing in the comment sections. Those who are just viewing and watching, I feel the support. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Sister Bell for being here this evening. and her great input. I appreciate her energy so much. I definitely hand selected Sister Bell. I also handpicked Sister Nuk Asmarut and handpicked her. And I was pretty sure at first they were like, what? Be a part of what? I was like, but I need your energy, Sister Bell. I need how you bring that fire like me, but you put in another format. Sister Nuke, I like how you put it so pleasantly, my fire, in another manner. And of course, I needed the panel. This need is a need for some masculine energy. Earlier, someone asked, what happened to Ramutef Queb, the matriarch takeover? No. Anything I'm a part of putting together, creating, will have the masculine energy. So I'm not part of any matriarch takeovers. That's not in my nature. That's not something I will be a part of. So again, I appreciate you all being here, and peaceful evening, peaceful ceremonies, celebrations, and rituals and rites of passage to you all. And we will see you. We plan to be here next Sunday. We'll definitely see you at our next scheduled time.